Kate and Beth stopping on by, continuing our reviews of Friday the 13th, the series. In this case,
Season 2, Episode 16, Scarlet Cinema.
before we get started, I would just want to, before I forget, mention that this one was written by the writer-director of Jason Takes Manhattan, Rob Hedden, but it wasn't directed by him. I'm pretty sure he's already written and directed at least 2 of the episodes in the series, and maybe the reason he didn't direct this is he's filming Friday the 13th, Part 8. It's possible, but the ones he writes are pretty good, and I had fun with this one. Any big fan of the original film from the 40s, the Lon Chaney Jr. movie, The Wolfman, will love this one, won't they, Beth?
Yeah, anyone who's a fan of the Wolfman might as well just be watching the Wolfman.
Well, if you're watching this episode, you pretty much are watching the Wolfman, because there's a lot of
my cue.
Wolfman in this movie, and honestly, it's amazing that they got the rights to be able to show so much of it. But then I was like, well, maybe in the 80s, the original Universal horror movies weren't so
protected.
Yeah, they probably wasn't a lot of interest in them probably in the 80s. So, they probably figured, well, let's if we let this show use some footage, at least it'll get the film out. It's publicity, yeah.
Some publicity.
So,
well, at first I thought it was some kind of wolf paw, because this young actor, main character, wants to become a werewolf, and every time, he watches the movie like religiously, and he's in the movie theater line for line saying it. And then he comes out of the movie theater and he reenacts the scene of, what was he saying? Even if you say your prayers daily at night.
Even a man who is pure at heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. I don't know why I went
a little out there.
International at the end, but...
So he recites this, and some of his college people are recording him, and at first I kind of thought, well, that'd be cool, but of course that was not the cursed object. But he tried. He was pretty realistic.
And what Beth means is, at the beginning of the episode, he scratched his chest with some crustaceous wolf paw or something, or what's that term that Norman Bates did? Taxidermied wolf paw.
Yeah,
scratches his chest, and these asshole fellow students film him on a film camera, and these I guess this movie enthusiast and the asshole are in the film class together, and kind of funny, the next day, or well, sometime later on at the film class, these prankster assholes end up showing that bit of film to make fun of this guy. And
well, because they're talking about the Scarlet Cinema.
Oh yeah, do you want to bring up what that means? I don't know if it's just, it's probably just for this episode. I don't know if that term really refers to...
Well, if it's in any reference, then I guess we're also fans of the Scarlet Cinema, as it's the horror movie genre of the 40s and 50s. So they just called it the Scarlet Cinema.
Well, the nerd kid did, I think. Because the professor was like, the so-called, or the Scarlet Cinema, as you call it. So, I mean, it's like the nerd kid made it up or something.
No, it's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool. So that's a good title for this episode. Would you like to go on?
Well, we're trying to figure out what the cursed item is, and I guess another one of his students, female, that he was having a crush on, was trying... I guess
Do we
they
know
have
that?
this...
It seems more like
I'd say he has a crush on her.
Okay.
I guess they have a movie project, and she went to the store to borrow some masks, which is how,
Curious Goods.
Curious Goods gets pulled into it, and Jack Marshak is like, oh, I got a friend, because she wanted to rent a camera. Got a friend, he'll sell one to you real cheap. So she
$300 isn't real cheap in the late 80s.
Well, anyway, it worked for the show. And while she's looking at this camera that is being sold by Jack's old friend, the main character, Wolfman wannabe, goes in there and sees this camera with 3 lenses and a wind-up top, and pretty cool-looking camera.
From the 30s.
The shopkeep says that camera's not for sale, and while he's distracted finishing the sale of the $300 camera to the female, he sneaks out and He must have been recording the shopkeep.
Did you say he stole the camera?
Yeah, well, yeah, he stole the camera, but while he was looking at the camera, he was videoing the shopkeep because we didn't know if this was the cursed item or not. So he goes back to his dorm room with the camera, thinking, "Okay, I got away with it." And as he's looking into what side of the camera was he looking into? Just the regular side you'd look into?
No, yeah, the viewfinder side, I think. Did you? I'm sorry, I zoned out a bit ago. Did you say that he wanted to buy it from the guy,
He
but he
wanted to
wouldn't
buy
sell
it,
it?
but it wasn't for sale.
And I'm sitting here thinking, well, why is it in the glass case then?
Some cameras are just for display.
Display only. Well, it should have had a little sign next to it for
Well,
display
we can't
only.
tell. We don't know if it said that or not. Anyway, moving forward. So he gets back to his dorm room and he's looking at one end
Through
of the viewfinder, and all of a sudden it's a black and white film of him watching the shopkeep, and then
Saying, yeah, it's not for sale. It's a playback of what he filmed.
then it cuts
to like the Wolfman
movie.
This episode has a lot of scenes from the
cuts.
Wolfman. I'll tell you that.
So as he's done watching it, all of a sudden, what happened in the film actually happened in reality. So that was the first kill.
Well, you got to say what happened in the film.
Well, the Wolfman killed the shopkeep.
Goes into the shopkeeper guy and kills him. The guy who sold the camera for a paltry $300 to the other girl, and then didn't want to sell this one to this kid, gets killed he's watching it in the viewfinder of the old camera.
The sound and everything. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, not very realistic, but it's a TV show. And then I'm kind of confused. I'm like, so what? I don't understand. So
then I think he opens up the camera, and then the film says 3 kills and you get your wish.
Well,
so that's kind of clues him in.
This far along into the series, I was thinking, it showed the future. The camera showed him what it wanted him to do, but it turns out that no, the guy actually got killed.
Yeah.
So that was the confusing part. I'm like, it seems so too easy for this kid. So all he has to do is look in the viewfinder. He doesn't even have to do anything, and then some
he has
entity
to film it, and he has to continue watching it because.
Oh yeah, that one time Ryan got away. He stopped looking in the viewfinder, and then he looked back, and the wolf was like, like,
he's all pissed.
You gotta watch me kill. But yeah, this is pretty fun.
That's how the kills happen. So he recorded the shopkeep, and then he recorded his college friend, and that film actually got put up for the midterm.
College
friend. Yeah.
The chick.
No, the guy, the asshole.
His asshole's not a friend.
But college enemy. So he recorded, once he figured out that whatever the film shows him actually happens, he particularly shows, films the college enemy, and as he's doing the playback, you want to do that one or no?
No, pardon me. I drank some pop.
So
I'm zoning a little bit.
Watching the college
jerk.
He ends up going into his car, and then the Wolfman demolishes him in his car and throws him off.
The vintage 80s Jeep Cherokee.
And he turns that film in, and so the college professor just rips the movie to shreds, saying it's plagiarism.
They show it.
Distasteful, and this is what not to do for your.
Especially because you depicted the murder of a fellow classmate or reenacted it. Little do they know they're watching the actual murder.
Not in reenactment.
Funny.
So then, that's when Ryan clues in as to where the guy lives and and that it is the camera. Couldn't get the camera, so the college student records Ryan leaving the dorm room. That was the failed kill.
Yeah, I don't remember what the third kill is. Do you?
The third kill was the professor.
Well, then who was the second?
The first kill was the shopkeep.
Okay.
The second
was
kill
the asshole.
Was the asshole.
Okay. Third kill's the professor.
Third kill's the professor.
But
they tried to kill Ryan, but that one failed because Wolfman got all pissy.
I've got a battery that's facing the other way, indicating that
and then after his third kill.
What Beth said earlier is that the piece of film said 3 kills and you get your wish.
So after the third kill, which was the professor,
the actual Larry Talbot, which is the character from Wolfman, as Wolfman appears, bites him.
and he becomes a werewolf.
The star of this episode becomes a werewolf, and then
But before he becomes a werewolf, he had bought some silver bullets
to shoot Larry Talbot after he's bitten. And he's like, take that, your journey ends here. I can't remember what he said. I'm taking your place or something like that. And I was like, I looked at Beth, I'm like, is that a death? Like the death of the Wolfman? So we made it a half death.
Half death.
Because it's kind of like...
The character was already technically dead from the 50s.
Well, I mean, the character never was alive because it was a fictional character from a movie. So anyway... I thought it was fun, even though it was kind of confusing. And admittedly, there's a little, I don't know if I could say too much, but there's quite a bit of Wolfman footage. And, I mean, yeah.
Even towards the end.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it might be fun for someone who hasn't seen it.
If you're a Wolfman fan, you're going to love this episode. That's really all I can say. I don't know if you agree.
Well, I'd say it'd be up a Wolfman fan's alley. And but that reminds me, I don't want to forget to mention that the makeup they do to like recreate the 40s Wolfman was really good.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I hope it was fun for whoever recreated it. I hope it was fun for them because they did a pretty good job.
So ratings.
Beth wants me to shut up, so I'd say just a notch down from a full thumb. Not full thumb just because there's so much Wolfman footage, so a notch down from full thumb for me.
I'm gonna go a notch up from a half. So.
Jeez.
It's almost like I'm watching the movie The Wolfman. There really wasn't very much Friday the 13th into it. I mean, it was entertaining, but I'm just going to give it a notch up from half because he didn't really do the kills, and like you mentioned, he didn't have to really do anything except to watch it, and it was kind of like cheats. So I give it, half plus 1 notch.
That's a different way to describe 1 up from a half notch. Okay, anyway, we've only got a few minutes to stay within 13 to discuss next episode.
Seconds. The next episode is the Mephisto ring, Mephisto, however you say that. But I'm gonna guess it's a piece of jewelry, possibly a ring.
I'm gonna guess it's a ring. It's a Mephisto ring, I bet.
Probably a magician's ring.
Oh, not another magician. Okay, well, time will tell. A week from now, we'll know what the hell that's about, and we'll talk about it.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.